We have some potentially big, huge news here.
That's right. There's been a lot of drama recently with the UAW, and through all that, we've gotten a lot of information that's telling us what's going on with Stellantis over the next couple of years.
Or even more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because, yes, so UAW and the big three, right, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, have all reached tentative agreements, which is good news, right?
Yeah.
They're going to work those out, and hopefully all the factories will restart. But as part of this, look at what they published. So they published this document. It's a really, really long, lengthy one, right? It's like 36 pages. But as part of this document, they show basically a product vehicle timeline into the future.
Yeah, which is interesting because usually the manufacturers are very hush about their future product and future plans.
Yes.
To the point that we don't even bother asking because we know exactly what the response is going to be.
Because the response is no comment.
Yeah. But this, I mean, have you ever seen anything like this come out since you've been doing this?
So I've been doing this for about 12 years. And I remember one time, like 5 years ago, where we had a peak, like a little leak into Ford's timeline.
Yeah.
And we saw like the Expedition, a little bit about the F-150, but nothing like this. We have the Wrangler, we have the Gladiator, we have Ram 1500, we have
Durango, Grand Cherokee.
Grand Wagoneer. So let's go down the line.
Yeah.
So first of all, we already did this video. Nathan and I talked about this, the Belvedere plant. The Belvedere plant is slated to build a new, it says all new midsize truck in 2027. And whenever we read these years here, we are reading it as calendar year.
Yeah, so it would be the model year, probably 2028.
Yeah, something like this. And they're planning to build between 80,000 and 100,000 of these midsize trucks there. So Nathan and I already argued about this. I was saying, why not just build the Rampage in Belvedere, right, which is their compact pickup, and call it midsize, and put it into production soon.
Yeah, but if they're waiting until 2027, I mean, that truck already exists. So my feeling is...
It's just built in like Brazil right now.
Yeah, so my thought would be if they're waiting till 2027, why not bring a new truck, maybe a Dakota?
Yes, so maybe completely redesigned, right? Maybe it's based on the Gladiator frame.
Because they're saying midsize, they're not saying compact.
No,
so you would
no.
assume that this would be more of a Tacoma competitor than a Maverick.
So maybe I was wrong. So I really hoped it was going to be the Rampage, but it doesn't appear so.
Could be better than the Rampage.
Okay, good. So now let's go to the Wrangler, right? So the current Wrangler JL, that's the code name, right, continues into 2028, and the Gladiator continues through 2028 as well, according to this document. By the way, we reached out to Jeep for comment.
Yeah.
We received a no comment.
That makes sense.
Although, so this agreement is not ratified. So the workers haven't voted for all of this yet,
Right.
in pay increases and all that stuff. So this may not be final,
Yeah.
but it's really detailed.
Yeah, I mean, this gives us a really good indication of what their plans are.
Yeah. And then it says something even more interesting. Mid-cycle refresh of the Gladiator. We just saw it.
Yep.
It's right here. Let's see. This is it. They just updated the grille, did some other work on the interior. They've updated it right now, so that confirms it. Then plug-in hybrid upgrade on the Wrangler and Gladiator. This is what we all been waiting for. When is the plug-in hybrid coming?
Yeah.
Potentially in 2025.
Yeah, so now we have some more information on that. And then also very interesting, they talk about the next generation Jeep Wrangler with BEV, meaning battery electric vehicle, and REPB, which is an interesting acronym.
Is this peanut butter and jelly?
Apparently, it's a range extended paradigm breaker.
Yes, so I remember Rem talking about this, right? Because a couple of years ago, they put their plan out there and they said, we're going to make our range extended vehicle so great, it's going to break the paradigm.
Right.
Which I'm not exactly sure.
Well, and it's something that's existed before. I mean, vehicles like the BMW i3 that actually you have in your garage.
Yes.
Where it's an electric vehicle, but it uses a combustion engine to create electricity and continue, which ideally will give you the best of both worlds. So it looks like they have a plan for that on the Wrangler, but it's interesting because they don't talk about a next generation Gladiator.
Yeah, so it could be a little bit telling that maybe Gladiator will end in 2028,
Right.
which would kind of be a sad day because you and I looked at the numbers. They sold 14,000 of them plus last quarter, which is pretty successful, even though it's declining in sales. It's
Yeah.
still a great number. I mean, it beat the Frontier, it beat the Ridgeline, it beat the Ranger and the Canyon.
Yeah, so that puts it in good standing among other mid-sized trucks. So you would hope that they would keep it around. And again, I mean, none of this is final. Just because we don't see them talking about a next generation Gladiator doesn't mean that it won't happen.
Yeah.
It just means that maybe this suggests that it might not.
And because they break it down by the factory, right? Because in this left column, Belvedere factory, Toledo complex, Warren complex. So these are all factories. So if the factory can't build it, where is it going to be built, right? So that's the question. Now, this is the classic, the Ram 1500 Classic DS generation. We know this. It says continues through 2024. So that means it could be around for another year.
Yeah, which is good. It's a fairly affordable truck, and that's always a nice thing to have on the market. Obviously not very cutting edge, but still.
But still affordable, like you said, right? Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer, that's a lot, continues through 2028. But look at this, dude. They're going to be updated a couple of times.
Yeah, so it looks like coming up fairly soon, and a few interesting things in there. Again, we see the range extended.
And the BEV.
The battery electric.
Yes. And they're calling it Grand Wagoneer and Wagoneer. They released a concept several months ago, and it was this sleek Wagoneer looking like a sporty, like coupe, almost like a crossover coupe thing. But it appears to be, maybe it's changing a little bit because STLA frame, it's their large architecture, right?
Yeah.
That's what they claimed would underpin the Ram 1500. Electric vehicles and potentially even these vehicles. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, some interesting powertrains on the way.
So that's in Warren. That's what's happening in Warren. Now, Sterling Heights. This is also Michigan. DT, current truck, continues another year. And then, look at this, mid-cycle action update on the DT and a new BEV and range extender in 2024.
So it sounds like likely similar powertrains that they're introducing on the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer, also for this Ram 1500 that they're updating.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense. We knew about this, right? They showed the concept Ram, REV, right? They called it Revolutionary Electric Vehicle, I believe. And they talked about this paradigm shift or paradigm breaker, right? So this kind of makes sense already. Now, Detroit Assembly Complex. What's going on there?
Yeah,
a lot. So Durango, Grand Cherokee. Wow. Does that say next generation Durango in 2026?
That's what it looks like. And again, it looks like you'd have an option between a combustion powertrain and a battery electric powertrain. So a decent number of different options here, which is kind of interesting. I mean, they're really spanning a broad range of different types of powertrains, everything from full electric to traditional combustion and kind of a mix of both.
But the current Dodge Durango right here will continue through 2025. I mean, dude, this has been around for many years already.
I mean, that platform, doesn't that platform come from the Daimler days? I mean, that's...
Yeah, and it was also underpinning in a slightly shorter version, the previous Grand Cherokee.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Hellcat will survive.
Yeah, probably
right?
not.
So the Hellcat V8 is probably going away, like they said, but the Durango itself may remain. Dude, and it's a good vehicle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
fine.
there's nothing wrong with it, especially with a Hellcat motor.
Yes. So this is pretty telling in Detroit assembly plant. Grand Cherokee, which is actually a hot seller for them. This is very important for Jeep and Stellantis. Gets a mid-cycle refresh in 2024. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, and we can see the 2-row continues through 2027, 3-row continues through 2028. So after that, we're looking at probably some big updates.
Yeah, and this is as much as the information as they provided. So this is huge news. And this document continues for another 30 pages.
Yeah, I mean, they talk in great detail about a lot of powertrain components. Really, I mean, the most interesting thing in here is talking a little bit about the Pentastar. It looks like the Pentastar Classic, which is likely, the Pentastar that we know today, continues through 2024, but it looks like it might see some upgrade after that.
Yeah, and continue at least through 2028. which is a long time from now, right?
Yeah.
And they're updating their small turbocharged engines here. I mean, we would need an hour to go point by
There's
point.
a lot in there.
Point by point, including transmission information from Indiana and Kokomo plants. And yeah, we could go for a very long time about this.
Yeah, and a lot of this feels very far out, but it is interesting to know what some of these vehicles, their lifespan is going to be as they currently are.
Yeah, so a lot of this we can kind of double check and confirm, like the electric Wrangler prototype that they showed in Utah, right?
Yeah.
And Moab. We can confirm that. I mean, it's coming to production. When did they say it? In
It's hard to keep track. There's a lot of info in here.
In 2028.
Yeah, battery electric.
So that's still several years from now. So I think what they're doing, if I can decode this, is like battery technology will improve, right?
Yeah.
Chemistry will be slightly different. So as soon as all these things fall into place, we should have this.
Yeah, so there's a lot to look out for. There's a lot that we're looking forward to seeing.
$19 billion of it.
That's a lot. It's more than I've got.
All right, thanks for joining us on this news flash. And we'll see you next time. And we'll continue on this news as long as we can.